welcome to this week's episode of Spoiler Piece Theater, the podcast that doesn't give a shit about spoilers. We just want to talk about the movies. My name is Evan Crean. My pronouns are he, him. I am co-chair of the Boston Online Film Critics Association. I'm co-author of your 80s Movie Guide to Better Living. And I'm co-host of the It's the Pictures podcast.
My name is Megan Kearns. My pronouns are she, her. I write reviews for Edge Media Network. I'm a co-host of the Slashers podcast. I too am a member of the Boston Online Film Critics Association, and I'm a member of Gallica, the Society of LGBTQ Entertainment Critics.
My name is Dave Riedel. My pronouns are he, him. I write about movies, and I am also a member of the Boston Online Film Critics Association.
That's
Yowza.
true.
Yeah.
Based on how you started, I was wondering if you were going to rap your intro.
No,
It did sound like
not
that.
this guy. No, I considered like trying to do it backwards, but then I was like,
Ooh.
I should have worked that out beforehand because there's no way I could do it off the top of my head.
Abort.
Yeah. Exactly. This goes nowhere. Abort.
Well, on this week's show, we have one movie we're going to be talking about. I think that's mainly due to some screener snafus. Hopefully, we'll be talking about that movie next week. But in the meantime, I want to mention that over on our Patreon, we are talking about a much newer movie than we typically talk about there. We're talking about Dev Patel's directorial debut, Monkey Man, which was a fun discussion. A lot of fun talking about it. And yeah, so if you're a patron, go check that out. And if you're not, please consider joining. For $5 a month, you get access to weekly bonus episodes, which we do. And you also get to vote in monthly polls. So that's pretty cool. And yeah, I guess while I'm at it, I want to say thank you to our sponsor piece patron, Heather Sachs. Thank you, Heather.
Thank you, Heather.
Thanks, Heather.
So let's move on to this week's movie. We are talking about the horror thriller movie Hold Your Breath, which is dropping on Hulu, and it is directed by Carrie Krause and William Joines, and written by Carrie Krause, and it stars Sarah Paulson. And here's our one-sentence IMDb summary. In 1930s Oklahoma, amid the region's horrific dust storms, a woman is convinced that a sinister presence is threatening her family. Yeah, sure. We've got, I think that's specifically what 1933 they say in the Oklahoma Panhandle is our intro. It's dusty, that's for sure. There's dust everywhere and not a drop to drink. Let's see. So yeah, Sarah Paulson is a mother of two. Her kids are Rose and Ollie. Ollie, the younger child, is deaf. We find out that she lost another child just a few years earlier. I believe it's due to the same kind of sickness that other kids seem to be coming down with. It seems to be like inhaling too much dust into their lungs, and so that's like, killing them. It starts with like a really nasty cough, and then it seems to be like a rapidly deteriorating condition. There's definitely like a kind of fear in the community, and it's there's a relative, Esther. Is that supposed to be her sister-in-law, right? It's not her sister.
That's what I thought. Is that her?
I think so,
her
yeah.
sister-in-law.
Yes. Yeah. So Esther has two kids, Tom and Jacob. Yes. And her younger son, Tom, is already starting to go like have this like hacking cough from this. And she's like, she, as in Sarah Paulson's character, is like, oh God, you gotta get that like looked at. You gotta like, make sure your kids aren't breathing in this dust. They should be wearing masks. You should be sealing up this house. You should be sweeping. And you can tell that she's been kind of on the edge about this and is kind of like fed into this like very obsessive desire to like sweep the dust, keep the dust off everything. She's always like trying to sweep, always trying to keep the dust, seal the house. Everyone's husband seems to be away trying to work somewhere else. Sarah Paulson, her husband, is off working who knows where, far enough away that like the letters are getting there, but even they stopped getting there because the train broke down, and so they're just suspended letter delivery. which is just nuts and horrible to think about. Like, I spent a lot of this movie wondering why would anyone want to live here and why would they stay, because it just seems so horrible. Like, there's just nothing. There's just dust, and that's about it.
There may have been something there when they moved.
Mm-hmm.
I suppose.
Who can say?
Yeah,
Yeah.
she does talk about, she tells the story about the wheat and how like green everything was and the grass was so lush. I don't know. So, yeah.
I love the wheat. Mm.
Yeah,
Is
well,
that
that is the
amber waves of
opening.
grain? I don't know. Sorry, Evan.
I suppose, yeah. I suppose it is Amber Waves of Grain. Yeah, the film actually opens with what turns out to be a nightmare, but she's walking through the wheat field looking for her kids playing hide and seek, and then she hears the like hacking cough of the daughter that's you find out is deceased, and she usually like wakes up in a panic. So yeah, I guess there was something there to enjoy at one point, but now it's just desolate. Everyone's husband is gone. There's no mail service. There's no money really. Her sister-in-law Esther tries to leave with her kids in the middle of a dust storm, and then the healthy one dies and the sick one lives, and then she almost dies too, and then she just kind of loses her mind and has her kid taken away. And yeah, I mean, this movie is about, Sarah Paulson's character, unraveling and losing her mind, both due to the obsession on the dust and like keeping her kids healthy, but then also due to some sleep disorder. It seems to be implied that like she is taking these sleeping pills, and beforehand she wasn't sleeping, and she seemed to be unraveling from that as well. And she stops taking the pills and just starts hallucinating and staying up all night and then hallucinating and waving a gun around quite errantly. What else? Oh, we have Eben Moss Bacharach shows up. He's like hiding out in their barn. They think it's this creature, the Gray Man, that they have this like horror book about. That what he killed his family and then like he burned up in the fire, so his ashes are part of the dust, and so like if you breathe in the dust, you'll breathe in the Gray Man, and then you'll do evil things like the Gray Man. They think that he's the Gray Man initially, and then he's like, oh no, I got this jacket from your husband and he told me about this place, and I just like hide out here for a little while. I'm like a preacher and a healer, and I'll heal your cow and heal your daughter's nosebleeds. And then it turns out that he's just bullshitting about all of it. I don't know if about his like healing powers per se. It seems like part of his con, but he definitely is not there under pure intentions. He stole the jacket from the husband and killed one of the other people that he worked with. So then they like chased him away, but then the rest of the movie is kind of like continuing to unravel, and then also like the specter of this guy possibly showing back up to terrorize them. What am I missing? What else am I forgetting here?
You're missing that we talked about The Wind off mic.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, The Wind, which was a movie that we talked about on the show a number of years ago that had a very similar kind of vibe, like a Western horror isolation thing going on, that we were just feeling like it was a kindred spirit to this movie.
A kindred Gray Man. A kindred faith healer.
Yep.
A kindred dust bowl. Okay.
But anything else that I forgot that's kind of critical to the plot?
Plot? What?
I mean,
I'm sorry. Did you say plot?
Yeah, it was like she has the two daughters, and one of them is deaf, and the other is a little older, and then she has the third daughter who died, and so she's very yes.
I was just gonna say, I'm sorry, I didn't realize you were gonna say something else. Do we ever actually see the husband? I can't remember.
We do.
At the very
briefly,
beginning, we see the husband.
Yeah.
Yep. And he says, he says, you can come with me. And she says, no, I won't leave her, meaning the dead daughter who's been buried out front or out back, buried somewhere nearby.
The tomb.
Yes,
there's a
on the
tree
property
and a tombstone.
Yes.
Yeah, that she washes down. You see a scene where she's washing the dust off the tombstone.
Mm-hmm.
Important, I'm sure, but that water could be put to different use, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, I was just kind of wondering also throughout the movie what they were subsisting on, because they have a cow and they have milk, but I didn't really see them like buying or growing any other food. So it was kind of like, also you don't really have money to go anywhere. So what money do you have to buy food? So what are you eating? That was just another thing that kept kind
Evan,
of clawing at the back of my mind.
why are you introducing logic into this scenario? Why would you do such a thing?
I don't know. These are the things that you think about when you're watching a movie. Kind of.
When you're
Yeah.
watching a movie where the same scene plays out over and over. Wait a minute. Am I dissing this movie? What the fuck?
Yeah, I mean, like, you can probably guess where it goes, listeners. You know, she just becomes more and more unhinged, and more scary to her daughters, especially with the gun, the lack of sleep. Then she shoots at who she thinks is Wallace, Evan Moss Backrack's character, uh, or the Gray Man, and it turns out she kills Esther with the shotgun. And then the sheriff comes because he's like, "Oh, something's not right here. I think maybe I need to like take these girls out of this situation." And she stabs and kills him too. And then she's like, the dust storm's kicking up again, and she's like on a tether to the house, and then the older daughter just like cuts her loose basically.
Well, before
to,
she was
like-
going to stab her to death.
That's right. She
Right.
was like,
She had her knife behind
yeah,
her
they're gonna
back.
hang. Yeah, she's like, they're gonna hang me, so we should just all just die together.
Yes.
Wouldn't that be nice? And the daughter's like, no. Just stab them. She was gonna stab the mom, and then the younger sister comes in the room, so she abandons that plan and just waits for her to. She's wandering off with like the tether out in the dust storm, and she just uses the knife to just cut the tether and just let
Mhm.
her kind of get lost and die in the dust storm. And then the end is like the two daughters are riding a train car to somewhere that's actually has green.
I'm assuming
And
towards their
then-
dad.
Then the older
Yes.
daughter sees dust in the air, and you realize she's got the same sickness as her mother. Maybe.
Maybe.
Maybe, maybe not.
Who knows? Yeah.
Well,
The
shit. Her
movie's
face
big on
does go
showing
from
the dust.
yeah,
like
but I
the
mean, her
flecks
face
of
goes from
dust.
that nice smile to like
Yes.
coing. So it's a technical term.
Yeah. That's a Bugs Bunny sound effect.
It
correct?
is a
It
Bugs
was,
Bunny
yeah.
sound effect. Oh, I'm just be back when he blows up the coing. Yeah.
All right. Well, I think we talked enough about the plot. Megan, let's start with you. What did you think of this movie?
I did not think much of this movie.
Okay.
Sadly. Yeah, it's unfortunate because I was really excited because I love The Wind. It's got such a great vibe. I love a psychological horror, love that it's a Western horror. And this kind of had that same promise to it that it was going to be a Western psychological horror. And it technically is. And I think Sarah Paulson does a good job with the material she is given in that.
I knew you were gonna say that. Funny enough,
Yeah.
I can tell you like we're trying to like form the sentence of like she does the
Yeah.
best with what she's got here.
Yes. She definitely tries to flesh out as much as she can a character that doesn't really exist. I mean, the only thing we know about this woman is that she is, heartbroken. She's still very much stricken with grief
Mhm.
over the loss of her daughter. But there's nothing really consistent about her character. And that arguably could be to show how much her mind is unraveling. But, like at first she's very like anti-religion, and she's like, well, that's not going to help anything when like the other women in the town or the community are like, oh, didn't see you at church today, and, yada, yada, yada. And she's
Mhm.
like, we need some food instead, but then she kind of like changes and seems more, I don't know, like there's nothing. I could not tell you anything about this woman, nothing other than that she lost her daughter and she's a mother. And
Right.
that's kind of annoying to me when a character doesn't really have a personality at all. But I think Sarah Paulson does the most with what she's given. And I think she is very good at vacillating between extremely sympathetic and, truly just wrought with guilt and with grief over this incalculable loss. But also very much turning on a dime and being kind of maybe terrifying in a better movie, but like kind of terrifying in that she's like, she's willing to like fucking like kill anybody and kill her children in order to all be together.
She's unpredictable.
Yeah, but it's also, and I feel very torn about this because part of me is like, oh, I'm here for seeing, kind of the trope of the mad woman. Like, oh, I'm here to see somebody's mind unravel and see what that does and the psychological, depths, depravity. Like, okay, that's cool. But also it kind of feels really sexist that like, I don't know, this mother's like losing her mind and I don't know. I felt very conflicted. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that this is not a very well written film, sadly. And I think if it had been, I would have liked it more. Also, I love Eben Moss-Bachrach, and what a waste of him. He's such a great, charismatic actor. I adore him. And he also is just not given much to do here, although he's really good at being sinister. And there's that scene where Sarah Paulson has the gun, like the shotgun on him. And it's really her daughter, Rose. And, she's like, Mom, it's me. It's me. It's not him. And he's like, you hear her voice, but you also hear Eben Moss-Bachrach and you see him and he looks so fucking creepy and sinister, which is a great moment. I just wish there was kind of more of those good moments. So.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought it was creepy too when he came out of the floorboards in the barn.
Yes!
The way he kind of like rose up, almost like a specter.
Yes.
Like he almost like hovered for a second. Yeah, like some kind of gray man.
Yeah, yeah. So I think ultimately I think it's unfortunate because I think you have these two great actors and a great atmosphere, a solid premise, and it just doesn't really feel like it goes anywhere and doesn't have enough depth to it, sadly.
Sounds like you're agreeing with that, Dave.
Well, I'm not going to go scorched earth on this one because you can't scorch it because it's too dry and there's
too dusty.
Too dusty. The flames would be blown out as fast as you made them. Anyway. I think, aside from the fact that this movie plays the same scene, and when I say the same scene, I don't literally mean the same scene. I just mean
I know what you mean.
The same, she's cracking up the same way over and over and over and over again. But I think this movie also plays fast and loose with the whole like, is there a gray man? Isn't there a gray man? Like, fuck off, okay? Like, you're just not good enough. It's not in a will
that not in the typical like, is there really a gray man? Oh, there could be. But maybe there's not. But maybe there could be. Like, it's like they almost forget the gray man exists for like large chunks of the movie and don't really do anything to hint that the gray man is actually something to be worried about.
Yes. And here's the other thing about our Eben blah, 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 blah character. I don't know his full
Eben
name.
Moss-Bachrach, his character Wallace.
Wallace, when he comes out of the floor, that is portrayed so clearly as a supernatural moment. And the reason I say that is because the daughters are there and they see the same thing. It's not like they do, because there are times later in the movie where you see things happening from mom's perspective and then it'll show the daughter's perspective and she's seeing something completely normal and rational.
Right.
And this is not that scene. This scene is he comes out of the floor like a fucking mummy or specter or whatever. And then he heals the older daughter's bleeding nose. And then he makes the cow give milk again. So what the fuck? Is he a con man? Is he the gray man? Is he just some fucking guy? Fuck off with that shit. If you're not going to be consistent about your misdirection, stop fucking with me. This is not a good enough movie for me to think about it. So I've said my piece.
I do like that both of us did talk about lack of consistency. It's interesting.
Well, it's really frustrating. It's like in The Wind, I don't remember this, but I get the feeling that you're never quite sure whether she's just losing her mind or whether there's actually a haunting.
Yeah.
I don't, and maybe it's easier because it's like one character, but I feel like that movie's tone is consistent throughout.
Yeah, it is.
The eeriness, the things that go bump in the night, the did I see that, didn't I see that? You're with this one character experiencing her whatever. But in this movie, you've got Sarah Paulson, who is playing this character like she's losing it. She's not playing this like somebody who's actually seeing the gray man.
Right.
She's playing this character like she's gone cuckoo. So the technical term. And therefore, when you have Wallace rising from the floorboards and the daughters see it the same way, the daughters who before and after have no sort of paranormal, psychological, whatever experience that is outside of what we would consider normal, what the fuck is going on? Also, he murdered a guy.
Yes, he did.
Stole from your husband. And so and then you just let him get away? I mean...
Oh, that pissed me off when she had the gun pointed at him.
She just shoot him in his chair.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
Shoot. He's an intruder. He threatened us. The reason he's sitting in the chair and feeding us because he said he'd cut our throats.
Yep.
And then the moment he let his guard down, I blew a hole in his chest. End of story. How fucking hard is it?
It was truly bizarre that she just put him down right then and there.
I mean, this is a woman who's been like threatening to shoot at anything that moves for the entire movie. And the one time she actually does, she blows her cousin's head or sister-in-law's head off, which, by the way, isn't even entirely clear because if you look at her head has this, it's like gash.
Sliced. Yeah.
Yeah. It's not like a shotgun. Have you ever fired a double-barreled 12-gauge shotgun? It doesn't leave that kind of, well, I've never fired at a living thing, so it doesn't leave that kind of mark.
Right, but a shotgun uses like shot, which is not a bullet. It's little tiny pieces of metal that don't.
But if she were like a foot away from Esther when she shot her, Esther's entire head would be gone.
Right.
There'd be nothing.
Right.
So I'm assuming that she shot her from far enough away, and the wind being what it was and the dust and everything, I will buy that the shot could have scattered and whatever, but it looks like slicey.
Slicey.
That's right. Also a technical
term.
So I just, this movie didn't make me... I want our listeners to know that while I'm watching these movies, I'm not stabbing myself in the back of my hand with a fork because I'm so furious. It's just like when I start, I watch the movie, I take it in, I make notes, and then when we start to talk about it and I get your input, and it's just like, then the question is, what the fuck did I just subject myself to? Now I'm saying this as if it's some kind of torture. It is not. It's not. This is not a good movie, but it's not abysmal.
No.
Right. I didn't like turn it off in the middle, and I wasn't sitting there like agonized the entire time.
No.
I wasn't like, this is horrible. Like, oh God, it's only an hour and a half too. It's like,
right.
It just should be so much better.
Yes.
There are just so many questions that are unanswered, and not because it's designed that way. It's because it's sloppy. It's just like,
it's not David Lynch doing this.
Right. It's like, it's like what I said. It plays fast and loose with the whole gray man thing. It's like, you can't have it both ways. Like she's cracking up, or there is a gray man, or there's both, or there's no gray man, and they're actually in fucking hell. I don't know.
It's funny you say that, because at one point in the film, when she's talking to her daughter Rose, I thought for sure she was going to be like, oh, honey, we're already dead. Like, I thought for sure that's where it was going.
Oh, kind of like a sort of like The Others moment, sort of.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But little did I know, great movie, by the way. I love that movie. But little did I know, no, it's just she wants to murder her children so they can all reunite together.
Yeah, especially if you're like thinking that religion doesn't do anything for you, and there is an afterlife where you'll all be together. You have law. I mean, she does sew her own hand onto a shirt.
She does.
There is that.
And she slices her leg so she can use her blood as rouge.
And then apparently doesn't dress her wound.
Apparently not. Because
that was just nuts.
Yes, it was.
That whole thing was just nuts. She just slices. She's looking at her daughter. She just like hikes up her like skirt and just like slices her leg like NBD, and then just takes her blood and puts, like, as Megan said, uses it as rouge on her face to make herself look, I don't know, more lifelike.
You think so?
Dance. And her daughter is like, what the fuck?
I know, her poor daughter is traumatized by this.
Yes. Yeah, understood. Like, that is weird and messed up and just freaky.
Yeah, and the other question I have is, what is the purpose of setting this during the Dust Bowl? First of all, now the Dust Bowl did go on longer in some stretches, but there were 3 big time periods: 1934, 1936, and 39-40. Okay, so this takes place in 33. I will go ahead with the maybe this is one of the areas that was affected for all 8 years, that, you know, from the beginning to the end. But why are we setting this in the Dust Bowl? Why is this, you know, why isn't this just, you know, a cabin in the forest? Why isn't it, you know, we're in the desert because we heard there was copper in this mine, and then we got here and there was none, and we're trying to survive. But the other, like, what's the purpose of this setting? Breathing in the dust? The gray man flies in the dust? Is that the reason we're doing this setting? Doesn't really fucking work.
I don't think I have a problem with it being set in the Dust Bowl. I think the dust, if you subtract the gray man,
the gray man got to you.
You breathed him in.
You breathed in the gray man, Evan.
I was just going to say, I think if you just subtract the gray man, I think the isolation and the dust is intimidating enough, because if
I
you're
agree
just
with that.
walking around breathing it in, it's a hazard to your health, but you can't help but breathe it in because it's everywhere. And like, there's no way they can like seal their houses from it. And then the other thing is, when the dust storms, you can't fucking see anything.
Yep.
Like, that's terrifying unto itself. Just her walking out in the middle of a dust storm and having to like tether to her house, otherwise she gets lost and dies. I think those elements are terrifying enough on their own.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Evan, you just rewrote the screenplay better. Congratulations.
Well, thank you.
Dr. Evan, script doctor.
Oh, I didn't realize I was passing my boards today.
Yeah, that's right. And the exam was this 98-minute movie. Oh, boy.
Whew. Yeah. I'm very much on the same page as both of you about this movie. It wasn't like excruciating to get through, but it was frustrating.
It's tedious is the word I would use.
Yeah.
Tedious is the perfect description.
Because and when I finished it, I was kind of like, I was like, there was definitely some stuff about this that wasn't working, and I wasn't doing a good job of like articulating in my brain. But I think you both just articulate everything that did bother me about it, from like seeing the same thing happen over and over and over again, and like just really poor writing, thin main character that just you feel like you know nothing about. A good performance based on very limited material, but there's only so far a good performance can take you in a movie where the writing is just so bad.
Yeah, even somebody with as much talent and background and whatever as Sarah Paulson. I mean, this is a talented performer.
Oh, absolutely.
And there's only so much that even she can do with this, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, and she's acting her ass off. Like, she's doing a great job.
Yeah, well, she's always at 100%, and she absolutely is in this. So, like, I don't know. I mean, I do know it's bad. So.
Yeah, they could have cut the gray man out entirely. It's as you both mentioned, it's not consistent. It plays too fast and loose, as you said, Dave, with the gray man mythology. It's just. It would have been better just to not do it at all. Either do it and like really lean into it and make us like really wonder about the gray man, or don't.
Yeah, because aside from the whole coming up through the floorboards thing, I never for a moment thought gray man. I thought woman losing her mind sleepwalking. That's what I thought.
Yeah,
you know,
me too. And I thought that Eben Mossback Wallace, I thought that I was like, oh, this guy's a con man, 100%.
Oh, totally.
Absolutely. Yeah. There's no doubt that he's a fucking shyster. I mean, I I think that's also kind of a problem inherent in these sorts of movies. It's the same thing as like There Will Be Blood. His brother shows up and you're like, wait a minute. Your brother that you don't know just showed up and you went, And the same thing here. It's like this guy just shows up through the floorboards and you're like, oh, he's a faith healer. Sure, I believe it. Wink. Nope.
Yeah. Well, that's also just such a cliche unto itself. The guy who's like, I'm a faith healer and my daddy was a preacher and I'm a preacher and we all got the touch. And you're just like, okay.
Right. Oh, by the way, how about this jar of snake oil? Do you need some?
Yeah.
I wonder if this is going to be one of the things where the filmmakers listen to the podcast and then send us an email. Oh, I really hope not.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
So,
maybe.
Yeah, I don't really know how much more there is to say. I mean, it's a bummer. I really was interested in this because I love Sarah Paulson, and I think I had seen a trailer or two for this and thought, ooh, it seems pretty creepy. I could totally be on board with this.
Yeah, and going to your thing about taking the gray man out of it entirely, you don't even have to change the name of the movie. Hold your breath. I mean, you could just name it something like Dust, but
that was the original title of the movie.
Just Dust?
Yes, that was the original title.
Not Gray Dust.
No, it was just Dust.
Okay.
When they wrote,
just asking.
when they wrote the screenplay, it was Dust, and then they changed it. I actually think Hold Your Breath is a fine title. I think both are fine titles.
Yeah, Hold Your Breath is fine. I mean, I think
I like the tagline too. There's something evil in the air. Like, I think that.
Oh, that's a good tagline.
Yeah.
And also, like, Hold Your Breath is just kind of sinister. It's like, what the fuck does this mean?
Yeah, it's kind of like it's kind of tantamount to the horror films that are predicated on sleep, because you have to sleep at some point. You can't stay awake forever, and it's the same thing.
Right.
You can't hold your breath forever. Like, you're going to have to breathe. So yeah, that is terrifying.
Yeah. By the way,
I was going to say, as someone with breathing problems, as someone who has asthma, it is scary when you can't breathe.
Well, let me tell you, I just had my first ever can't breathe experience last week.
Oh.
I choked. I choked while I was eating, and it was terrifying.
Yeah, it is.
Terrifying.
I've been there too. And it is. Yeah. It is. Absolutely. You are right.
I've had moments before where I thought I was choking, but like you can still breathe. And oh my God. And this wasn't me doing something stupid. I was having pizza and the crust was really crispy. And when I bit into it, a piece like shot off into the back of my throat and just got lodged there. And like, I don't know how long it was, 15 seconds, and finally it cleared on its own. But I was in a public place, thank God, because who knows what would have happened.
I was going to ask if you had to Heimlich yourself.
Right?
No, I've thought about like having to do that before and how you even do that. You go like over the back of a chair. I don't know. We've gone a long way from Hold Your Breath.
Yes, we have.
Still breathing.
Might as well see this tangent through to conclusion, though.
Yeah.
We owe it to the listeners to cover off on this.
So to make a long story longer, I survived, obviously.
Yay!
Except I am the gray man and I'm actually dead. Telling you this story.
Twist.
It's the ghost of Dave.
Yeah. I'm going to fade off into the dust in just a moment, but I can't go through a computer. So Evan and Megan are safe and they'll be back next week.
It was a close one.
Yeah. This is my farewell episode, everybody.
Oh no. Well, that's sad.
Well, yeah. Well, now I've done it. I've officially hijacked this episode.
Did you guys ever see, sort of a sidebar, but sort of connected, did you guys ever see Sarah Paulson in Run?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, it's another horror movie where she's a mother. She's a mother of a daughter who is in a wheelchair, and it's another kind of unhinged mother role.
Is it better than this?
I don't know if I'd say better. I don't remember, to be honest.
Ringing endorsement.
Yeah, I remember liking it, so maybe that's better.
I remember. I'm looking at it now on Letterboxd. I remember the poster.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Sarah Paulson looking pretty creepy in this photo that they have on Letterboxd, hugging her daughter in a rather ominous way.
Mm-hmm.
Much like one would hug the gray man. Stop me.
Except you can't hug the gray man.
That's right, because he's in the air. He's everywhere. He hugs your
The gray man
nostrils,
hugs you.
though. So.
Oh boy, yeah, we did come a long way from this. So probably good to bring this convo into for a landing.
Yep.
Yeah, so we just had one movie this week. Hold Your Breath is going to be on Hulu. I think it's pretty safe to say we would say not see it.
Yeah, I think that's a safe assessment. By the way, I just wanted to mention, because we had talked at the beginning of the show about what our Patreon movie was, which is Monkey Man. Mention it again, Monkey Man. And because I'm a terrible person, and Evan asked me, I said the words Monkey Man in a sing-songy way, and Evan said, "Is that like Rocket Man?" And then I sang Monkey Man, think I'm gonna fling my poo on you. But imagine that to the tune of Rocket Man. That's what you're missing if you're not a patron.
Yeah, high quality stuff like that.
Yeah, you remember how I used to sing on the show all the time? Well, now I only do it on Patreon. So, not I don't know how much you're missing out, but I'm just saying it because I'm 7 years old in my brain. It was funny to me to sing that in the moment. So.
It was funny to hear it on the receiving end, too.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
Yeah, it was funny. Also, I don't know why, but we were talking about dust in very early in the episode. All I could think of was the bikini inspector saying he got dust in his eye.
Oh, man.
Got dust in my eyes.
No, I can't inspect these bikinis.
Can't even inspect these bikinis now. Has anybody got a glass of water? I can just splash it in my peepers.
No, the water's for the tombstone of the dead kid.
Oh, what'd you do? Put all that water on that there tombstone. I need him to inspect these bikinis. Man, we have gone over the goddamn edge. Wow.
Yeah.
I hope there's people who've never listened to the show and they're just like, what the fuck is a bikini inspector? What are they talking about?
It's the one time they listen and there's like, who
the
are these three fucking people?
Okay, listeners. Man. Yeah, we went a little off the rails this episode. Forgive us, please.
I forgive you, Evan.
Oh, thank you.
Oh.
Yeah, so don't see Hold Your Breath.
In conclusion,
don't see Hold Your Breath. Oh, son of a bitch. Oh, that's funny. Oh man. Coming through clutch again. Evan Crean.
All right, well, I guess I'm going to fight through tears and laughter to say we want to say thank you to our editor, Otto Clamor. Otto, thank you for making us sound so great week after week.
Thank you,
Thanks, Otto.
I hope you enjoy this one.
Yeah. I hope you're having as much fun as we are, Otto. You can find us anywhere you get podcasts. You can also find us at our website, which is spoilerpiece.com. And when you go over there, you can also check out our merch. You click on the merch tab. That'll take you to our TeePublic store, where you can get all kinds of fun stuff with our logo on it. Shirts, hoodies, pillows, notebooks, all that jazz. Good stuff. Good way to support the show. You can also reach out to us. We're on social media. We're Spoiler Piece Theater on Facebook. We're at Spoiler Piece on Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd. And yeah, if you want to reach out to us, you can also send us an email, spoilerpiece@gmail.com. Tell us we have no idea what the fuck we're talking about when it comes to Hold Your Breath. It's an amazing movie, and long live the gray man.
I'm sorry.
Or you can do that by phone. You can call us
at 862-21-PEACE.
You can leave us a long rambling voicemail or a short voicemail, just taking us to task. Whatever you want, listeners. We'd love to hear from you about this movie, about other movies in general, whatever else you want to talk about. And If you like the show, please rate and review us by going to ratethispodcast.com/spoilerpiece. That will take you to your platform of choice. That helps us build up cred in the podcast world. So rating a review is always appreciated. And if you really, really like the show, consider joining our Patreon. As I mentioned at the top of the episode, and we mentioned just a few minutes ago, we talked about Monkey Man, Dev Patel's directorial debut, over on our bonus audio this week. And as I mentioned, for $5 a month, you get weekly bonus episodes, and you can also vote in monthly polls, and it's a good time. So, my name is Evan Crean. I am co-chair of the Boston Online Film Critics Association, co-author of your 80s Movie Guide to Better Living, and co-host of the It's the Pictures podcast. And you can follow me on social media. That's Twitter, Instagram, Letterboxd, Threads, and Blue Sky as Real Recon, and that's real as in film reel.
My name is Megan Kearns. I write reviews for Edge Media Network. I'm a co-host of the Slashers podcast. I'm a member of the Boston Online Film Critics Association and a member of Gallica. You can follow me on Twitter and Blue Sky at OpinionS World or on Instagram and Letterboxd at The OpinionS.
And I'm the Bikini Inspector. I also am a member of the Boston Online Film Critics Association. You can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Letterboxd, and Blue Sky and Threads as Dave Sees Movies.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah.
We'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.